Hello everyone, it's Kari. Today I have this brand new stamp set from Gina K Designs called Woodland Whimsy. And look at all these beautiful flowers. Some of them are layering flowers. There's a lot of leaves and fillers as well. I was so excited to use this set, and I have 3 cards to share with you today that all are very different. For the first card, I'm going to stamp this little bouquet of wildflowers with some Gina K Amalgam ink. This is the black ink. I wanted to use this ink because I'm going to Copic color these later. And this ink works really well with Copics. It doesn't smear. And now I have some masking paper here also from Gina K that I'm going to also stamp this little set on. It doesn't matter if you get a really good impression, because this is just a mask, and we're going to go ahead and fussy cut that out so that we have a nice white border around the edge here. I left an extra border because I have some plans for having this stand out a little bit from the background, and that white border is really going to do a nice job of this. So I'll remove that backing paper there and put the mask right over that stamp. I'm trying to line it up just right. You can kind of see through the masking paper just a little bit, so that helped me to line it up. And now I'm going to take this beautiful sentiment that says, "Everything I am, you helped me to be." I love this sentiment, and I thought it would look great stamped all up and down this card in a rainbow of colors. This first one is Gina K Tomato Soup, and it's kind of a red, like kind of a light red, an orangish red. And then all I'm going to do is move up that panel just a little bit. I am cleaning off the stamp in between, so that I make sure not to contaminate the colors. But I ended up moving it up about 3/4 of an inch, if I remember correctly. And I'm just making sure to measure that on the side here of the Misty. That's why it's really helpful to have this Misty to do this. This next color is called Peach Bellini, and it's kind of like a peachish orange color. I stamped it twice for this one just to get a good, nice impression so you could read it. This is a beautiful array of rainbow colors that I'm using. These are all Gina K inks, and this yellow is sweet corn. And then I'm going to move on to green, which is the fresh asparagus. Such a pretty green. And then we will have the Blue Lagoon, which is my favorite color out of the bunch, of course, and Wild Lilac. So I'll go ahead and just stamp through all of those colors. The very last sentiment, I'm just going to stamp with some black ink. It's the VersaFine Onyx Black, which is my favorite black ink for stamping a sentiment because you get a nice clear impression. And by the way, these are from the autumn collection of Gina K. You also get a couple of tan colors there. Just wanted to show you that if you don't have any rainbow colors of ink, you can get all these ink cubes in the same autumn collection. So it's really, really nice. I have already colored those wildflowers up with some Copic markers, and now I'm putting the mask right back on so that I can mask off each of those colors of the sentiment. And I'm just going to brush on that same color that I stamped the sentiment so that we get a rainbow of colors down the front of this card. So I'm using the same colors as I said, and I'm going to be using these blending brushes here and just inking on a little bit of that ink till I get just the amount that I want. I start off really light and I end up building up a little upon little just to build up that color, but I didn't want to get too dark because I wanted to still be able to read that sentiment. Once I finish with this first color of tomato soup, I'm going to move on to the Peach Bellini. So I'll take off that masking tape here, and really carefully because I didn't want to pull up the mask of the flowers. I'll place that over the first color, and you can see I'm lining this up on my grid behind me. So I'm trying to get it really, really straight here. And then I have a second piece of tape, and I go down about 3 squares on this grid so that it is lined up perfectly. And now I'll ink on that second color here. So I'm going to go through all the colors in this manner until I get it fully inked throughout the front of the card. Now I left this yellow one on here because I wanted to show you that sometimes there are mishaps in card making. I was so excited to get that next color that I accidentally picked up the blue and then I dropped it right on the card. And look at that spot. I mean, it's a big ink spot. So I tried to blot it up, but that didn't work. So I got out my Tombow sand eraser and I'm going to try to fix this with the sand eraser. Now, that's a pretty big mark, so I'm sure that I'm not going to be able to get all of this off, but I kept working at it and kept working at it until I got the majority of the ink off. I am going to end up putting some sequins over the top of this, so you're not even going to be able to tell. That is sometimes how I get sequin placement on my cards. Yeah, it decided for me. So you can see I got most of it here, but it did also get up some of that yellow ink, so I'm going to ink some more of that on, just blend it on with the brush right over top, and look, you can only see just a little bit left of that mistake. So here we have the fully inked card. It turned out so pretty, and now I'm going to pull up that mask and you can see the magic. Look at that. With the white around it, it really does pop right off the card. To finish off this card, I'm going to take some hemp cord here that I've had in my stash for a really long time. Just this brown color. I will tie a little bow and then I'm going to put it over the top of that little bunch of flowers. So cute. To keep this all together, I decided to use some multi-medium matte here, and that's going to keep this tied together so the bow won't come untied. You can see I'm putting quite a bit on here, and I'm using this tool here because my small little nozzle kind of broke, so that no longer works. So I just squeeze out whatever I need, and I use it this way sometimes with this tool just to get the smallest amount that I need. So now I'm going to put an acrylic block over the top to let that dry and stick to the card. And here's my collection of sequins. I'll go ahead and start with that yellow because I knew exactly where to put that, right over the splotch. and so I start with the yellow. I'm going to add some other colors of sequins as well. Some blues, purples, greens, just until I get the right amount. I wanted to put some purples in between here so that you didn't get distracted by the words in between the flowers. And now I'm going to use my favorite new embellishment tool. I used to use, if you remember, if you've been watching my videos, I used to use my silhouette pickup stick. I think that's what it's called. And I'd have to put down my glue and attach it with the pickup stick and take another tool to make sure the sequins got pushed down because it would stick too much to the pickup stick. With this embellishment tool, I only need my two hands to do this. One to pick up the sequin, one to put the glue on, and then to put the sequin back down. It sticks right to the glue. So this tool is really awesome. I can get my sequins put on a lot faster this way. I love it when you can find a new tool that works really well. So I will link that below if you're interested. I've linked all the supplies, but that'll finish off the first card. The second card, I'm going to use this dowel, and it's like a hanging rod, and it reminded me of when I used to dry my own flowers, and I would turn them upside down onto a rod, hang them up to dry upside down. So that's what I'm going to make this card into. I'm using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink because I went ahead and I clear heat embossed over this because I wanted that to stay shiny and black, and I'm going to do some ink blending over the top. So by heat embossing the clear over it, I make sure that none of the ink is going to smear, and I'm going to use these domed blending tools that are also some of my favorites to quickly ink on these two Distress Oxide colors. These are some of my favorite colors, and I just love how fast they go on with this tool. I always love these colors. The greens and the blues are just among my favorites, so you see a lot of that in my card making. I am trying to branch out though with some new colors. So I'll add the peacock feathers here. I'm going to hold it on with some Post-it tape so I don't get fingerprints and I also don't get ink all over my fingers. I hate it when I get ink on my fingers and then transfer it to my cards. So this is just an easy way to keep the ink off the fingers and fingerprints off the card. So you can see how quick that is to ink on, and it gives a nice vibrant color. I'll go back with the Twisted Citron just to blend in that color a little more together. And that's all there is for the background. I am going to clean up my work surface here before adding some splashes of color. This is just the misting bottle here. So I get a nice light mist, but to get more of some bigger splotches, I'll put some water in my hands and then drop it off onto the card, just like so, and then dab it with my towel. So I'm going to set that aside to dry while I stamp on some more flowers. I will Copic color these, and these are the same Copic colors that I used before. So I'll share those with you here on screen. I just colored one of the flowers. This one though, I wanted to show you that one of them I went ahead and I used the Peach Bellini to stamp on the color. So if you don't like coloring, this set is so great because you can stamp in any color and get automatic color to your flowers. So I wanted to stamp one of those with the layered stamp, and now I'm going to color the rest of these with these Copic markers so you can see that you get a really great result either way that you decide to color them up, with stamping or with coloring. On this smaller image, I went ahead and started with the darkest pink, went and blended that out with the medium color and then with the lightest color. I like to leave a little bit of a white border on the edge here because it almost gives it like a natural highlight. I'll go in again with the darkest, medium, and back to light just to give it more vibrant color. You can see that that really does add quite a bit to this flower, makes it really pop. So that's how I did the first card as well. I wanted to leave this just this one colored flower in for you. I pretty much colored up all the rest of them the same. One of them I colored orange. He's kind of like the black sheep, but I wanted to have an accent color as well, so that's why I did that. I just blended out the edges there with the colorless blender, and now I am figuring out my layout here, and I wanted to stamp some of those filler flowers and the leaves in the asparagus ink on the background. So before I put all the flowers on, I'm going to quickly put this back into the Misty, stamp it with the green ink, and then you'll have some beautiful leaves for the background. I did stamp this off first just to test it out, and it worked really great. So you can see that I've added a couple layers there with that green ink. I did have a mask over the, see, I just pulled that off there. I had the mask over the dowel so that I wouldn't stamp any green on there. Now I'll just color up that dowel with some E30s. I think it's E30 and an E50 maybe here. It's not really going to matter in the end because I do cover up most of the dowel with the flowers and the sentiment. I'm going to use the "You Are Remarkable" sentiment in a minute. I popped up these flowers on some 3D foam tape, added that to the top there, and now I'm going to stamp out the sentiment that says "You Are Remarkable." This is a really great sentiment. I stamped it a second time because the first time I didn't get a dark enough impression, but the second time worked out really great, and now I'm going to cut it out with this sentiment strip die cut. I'll tape it on with some purple tape, run it through my die cut machine, and there's our sentiment. It's going to go right over the top there of the dowel. I'm going to add some of these thin double-sided adhesive strips. I got these from scrapbook.com, and they are awesome because when you just need a little thin piece of foam, you don't have to cut down your other foam. I'm going to double up the foam here on both of the edges. Since it's going to go over those flowers that already have the foam tape on them, I needed to leave the center kind of clear so that it wouldn't, like bump up over the flowers, but the sides would match that same level. I hope that makes sense. I decided to cut the orange flower kind of in half and nestle it down there behind the sentiment so you got some additional flowers on top. And I'm going to add these topaz color rhinestones that I found in my stash. I have no idea how long I've had these, probably 20 years. But they created just a little bit of bling on this card. I really liked how that turned out. So just one on the top here to add it like a little hanger, maybe like a nail hanger, and then 3 sweet little topaz rhinestones on the side. I'll hold that up so that you can get a little bit closer look with that bling. So cute. And I'll finish that off and add it to the top folding card. I have all of these flowers left that I've already colored, and I could not let them go to waste. So we're going to make one more card. Now, one of these is the flower that I stamped with the ink on the inside, and I just put a little bit of highlight with a darker color on the middle of the flower, and it looks just like the ones I colored. So awesome. I'm going to take this stencil from Gina K Designs, line it up on my paper. I'll just put some purple tape on the back just to hold it in place while I ink it up with the same colors. I'm going to use the sweet corn for the center and my favorite blue lagoon around the edge. I was going to start with the green, but I thought it would fight a little too much with the other images. So yellow will make it pop in the center, and then adding that blue lagoon around the outside, it really feels like it glows. So I do tap off the ink just a little bit before I take it to the stencil so I don't get any harsh ink lines. And look how easy it is to blend it on with one of these blender brushes really fast and really easy. And I like a card that has this pop. Look at that. So pretty. So I die cut a thank you, die cut sentiment, and I added the flowers all around. I'm just going to attach them with some liquid adhesive and nestle them right behind that thank you die. Just as simple as that. And look at how happy this card is. Wouldn't you love to get a thank you card? So happy like this. I think the colors are really pretty and they go together great. So the thank you I die cut with a matching blue ink, kind of like a teal turquoise ink, and then the shadow is black. I put those together with this liquid adhesive, and now see how easy it is to add that liquid adhesive to the back. I love it that this comes out in such a small amount, so you can do it on these small die cuts as well. I'll just add some acrylic blocks while that dries, and now for some accents I'm using this black jelly roll pen to add some dots to the inside of all the flowers. And there's our thank you card. So all of these I've added to a card base, 110-pound card base, which is my favorite. And here's a look at all the cards. They are so happy and bright and cheerful. I love this. You are remarkable. So I hope you enjoyed these projects today, making 3 cards using the same stamp set. Look how different they are. They are pretty different, using the same flowers, but oh so sweet. I hope you got some inspiration today and that you will try some of these techniques for yourself in your own card making. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back pretty soon with some more inspiration. Thank you so much for stopping by and for all your comments. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.